So this is the review I've been dreading. I had the honor of getting to interview the director, Marcus Dunstan, who I'm a big fan of. Saw is my favorite horror franchise. He wrote, alongside of his writing partner, Patrick Melton, my favorite Saw film in Saw 6. My second favorite Saw film is Saw 4, which they also wrote. So just from them in the Saw-verse alone, you know, they got me. But they also did the Collector movies, the Feast trilogy. They helped with the story on Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. You know, there's a whole other list of films I could talk about here. But those are the key ones for me. And I was very, very excited to talk to him about that. And unfortunately, that interview only got to be about 20 minutes because that's what they allowed me. And I didn't even get to ask him about The Collected, you know, The Collector 3. Somebody else seems to have those, so I'm glad for that. It seems to be confirmed that they are maybe getting back to that, which would be wonderful. But speaking about this film, I watched this right before I interviewed him, and I was very excited because I was getting to talk to someone who I really respect and I really like. And lo and behold, I really didn't like this movie at all. And so then I was faced with talking to someone who I really like and respect and about a movie of theirs that I didn't like. It's like, of all the movies that I had to talk to him about that he has had a hand in making, why did it have to be this one? Why did it have to be this one? So anyway, okay, here's the thing. I like when Marcus deals with adult situations and like horror R-rated stuff. That is where he works for me, right? So the Saw movies are gruesome. They deal with super dark material. Same thing with The Collector. The Feast movies are a little bit more playful and silly, but they're very graphic, and I think that's where he operates best. Now, I will say this. He had no part in writing these, in this film, right? And his last film he directed was a film called Unhuman, which I also did not like, and it also had a similar feel of this, where it was trying to be more modern, and it was like almost Scream-esque, which you guys know that's not my brand of horror. It's just something that doesn't work for me. And when we get into the like social influencer kids, oh man, that just rarely works for me. I think that that's a part of society. While I understand why it's prevalent in film right now, because there's so much of it in the world, it is kind of like a time capsule of this moment in our history. So it will reflect that in the future. And I don't know where we're heading with that in the future. But right now, every other person, especially young person, seems to be at least trying to be some kind of an influencer. And those characters are almost always insufferable. And that is the case here. These characters are just insufferable. I really couldn't care less about anything going on in here. This film is a slasher film. It's about a group of college kids that are going to this huge music festival. They get sidelined and have to stay in an Airbnb overnight, and then they get picked off one by one as their past comes back to haunt them. Nothing original, nothing unique, nothing going on here that's even remotely like entertaining to me. You know, your mileage may vary if you are part of a younger generation, but I don't think so. Like, I feel like this is not an accurate representation. This is like a caricature. This is like a, you know, it's like condension of all of the stereotypes of the youth, which I'm not a huge fan, honestly, of like the Gen Z 20-something-year-olds. Currently, I'm that 40-year-old guy now that's like, my generation had it figured out and you guys are, you know, I'm trying not to be that guy, but I feel like it's inevitable from one generation to the next. I feel like I always thought when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be that guy. Like, every generation thinks the next generation after them is lame by comparison. And I really, really, really wanted to not feel that way. I really did try, but fuck. It's like they're forcing my hand. Not all of them, of course. I don't like to generalize too much, but I think the overall view that we have of this generation, and that might be some of it being like a mockery, but it's all of the online sphere of these kids. You know, what we see in social media, and I don't like it. And watching an entire film of them constantly now, it's like 1 out of 4 films is about influencers, especially in the horror genre. It's not something I'm keen on. Sometimes it works. Deadstream was fantastic. I love that. It was like my second favorite film of last year. But that was different. And I could get into that, but I'm not going to here. With this one specifically, I didn't care for the characters. I didn't care for the story. I thought all the reveals were super obvious. And I thought the kills were super lame, which is crazy coming from a Marcus Dunstan film, because the Feast films are crazy. They do some wild shit in there. The gore in Saw movies, especially the later Saws, the Dunstan Melton era, oh my good God. The kills, as much as people don't like the final chapter, the kills in that movie are absolutely insane, and some of the great gore that we've gotten in horror. So for me, that's where they do best. That's their wheelhouse, and I really wish that we would get, you know, like, I wanted to ask him, I only got 20 minutes, I wanted to ask him about The Collected, the third Collector movie that got, like, abandoned. They shot for like 8 days, and I had 20 minutes. I was trying to cover all my bases, and I was like, oh wait, I gotta talk about this hashtag AMFAD, all my friends are dead movie. And I was like, shit. So like I kept kind of coming back to it, but my real questions I wanted was about Saw 11, which he confirmed he is writing. I wanted to ask him about The Collected, which I didn't get to because they were like, sorry, your time's up. And I was like, no, that's like the big question I wanted to ask. You know, but it apparently some reports have come out that one of the interviews during that cycle, somebody did ask and let it leak early that supposedly it's back on. Let's hope that's true. But if for some reason Marcus is watching this, I did hide it from you that I hated this film because I respect you, and I really, really wish that you would go back to the place that I think you are best served, which is in graphic, violent, twisty horror, right? That's where I love you. And over here in like Unhuman, All My Friends Are Dead, even Pilgrim, that Blumhouse show, Into the Dark episode that you did, not big fans of this stuff. It's all just too playful for me, and I know that you're like a playful director. I'm talking to him like he's actually watching. He's not fucking watching. I'm talking to you guys. But like, I know he has a very playful side to him. If you watch the Feast movies, if you watch their Piranha movies, especially the first one, which is a super fun time. The second one, I still had fun with it, but obviously it's nowhere near as good as the first one. I think he has that playful, funny, comedic side to him. But I don't know, man. There's something about this. I don't think he directs like the youth of modern times well. I think it's too try hard. It doesn't feel authentic. Like it's all a parody. And I don't know, it doesn't work. Also, JoJo Siwa is in this movie. And man, she is like, just like legitimately, guys, she was not on set for this movie at all. I can tell you that right now. The way she's inserted into this film, it was kind of like, we have her for a few days, and not during any of the time we're shooting. We're just going to have to shoot around her. We'll insert her in the film. And not to take anything away from Marcus's interview, because he talked praisingly about her. Totally fine. I don't really have a lot to say. I mean, I know she's kind of like the celebrity kid, the kid who's trying to make the Miley Cyrus like kind of transition into, look at me, I'm edgy and sexy now. Remember, I was a kid, but I'm no longer a kid. I like sex and stuff, right? Like, That's fine. I mean, I get it. You don't want to be seen as a kid anymore. It's very hard. She had some missteps, we'll just say, and a lot of people are making fun of her for it, and I get it. But no mention it. Moving on from that, I just think, now she wants to be in a horror movie, and it's like her character is so nothing. It's like it feels like almost her scenes felt, because they show her basically one scene. There's a couple more moments you get with her in the film, but she's in the movie maybe a minute. But you can watch on YouTube like her one scene, and it feels like a class project of like some girl that's reflecting, and I don't know, man. It's just it's not good. It's not good, and I hate that. And I really didn't want to record this review after talking to Marcus, because I really liked him, but I would never bullshit you guys. I didn't like this, like, at all. I really wanted to. I really tried, but this just doesn't do it for me. If you want to do that, like, that edgy kid movie that deals with, like, influencers and Gen Z and all of that stuff, I would look more towards, like, what is it? Bodies or something. That at least has some edge to it, that actually is entertaining, that actually has a twist that's really cool. So I don't know, man. Movies like this, they just don't work for me. And honestly, it might just be because I'm the crotchety old guy who doesn't get the modern kids of today. It's possible. So if you're like a 20-something-year-old and you love these like influencer movies that depict Gen Z and all that, and you like the kind of Scream slasher vibes where the gore is really toned down and everyone's like, this isn't fucking for me. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm done with this one. I didn't want to do this anyway, but I had to do it because I watched it, and I want to tell my the subscribers here that follow the channel that if you have tastes that line up with me, you're not going to like this movie. So anyways, I'll see you in the comments. Sorry, Marcus. You're a great guy, though. Seriously. Please. Collected, Saw 11. That's where you thrive. All right. Bye.